Okay, everybody, hi again. It's Mike, the no-fingered kitchen guy, I guess. Still haven't come up with a name for this thing yet. I'm still in the experimental stage, but we are still making them and still hoping that they are inspirational to some of you out there. What we're going to do today is make a tossed salad. And the reason I chose a tossed salad to make today is because it involves using a utensil that I haven't tried to use yet since my accident, and that is the vegetable peeler. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time with this because it's going to wind up being kind of a long video as it is. So when I make a salad, what I do is we're going to use a little iceberg lettuce, a little romaine lettuce, a couple tomatoes, a red onion, green pepper, and a cucumber. All of which was purchased at actually, all of this was purchased, with the exception of the tomatoes, was all purchased today at a farmer's market right up the street. So it's all very fresh, and it might still be a little dirty. So I use this thing here. This is something my wife introduced me to. I believe they call it a salad spinner. I believe is the Tupperware salad spinner is the name of it. So the first thing I do when I make a salad is I get the lettuce in there and I get it washed so that I can rinse some of the dirt off of it and spin some of the water out. So I'm going to start with the lettuce, and we're just going to pop the core out of there, you know, the way you always do with your lettuce when you start out. You know, pop your core out and take some of these nasty leaves off some of these gross leaves off the outside there. Okay, once that gets, you know, it still might have some dirt inside of it because, like I said, it is grown locally and it's just been purchased. So then after that, then it gets fun. What I do, kind of chop it in half, and chop the head of lettuce in half, and then sort of just kind of chop it into, you know, like what you would see on a salad bar when you go up to the, you obviously don't want it super, super small. You want to be able to, you want to be able to get a couple of chunks of lettuce in with your, with your bite of tomatoes and cucumbers and all that. So you want to make sure that you keep it so that it stays throughout the salad. So we're just going to give that a rough chop, kind of like that there. All right. Gross. Give it a rough chop. Put it all in this spinner thing here. This little doodad is kind of cool. Show you what it does here in a second when I'm done. Okay, there, now we got our iceberg in. Our iceberg lettuce in there. It seems like the lettuce takes up a lot of room, and it kind of does. But of course, the lettuce is kind of the bulk of the salad. So. Then after that, then with this stuff here, this romaine, some of these leaves get a little gross on the outside too, so you snap a couple of them off. A little of that there. And then this end right here, that's got to come off. It's like the core for the other side, so we're gonna chop that off. Okay, toss that thing away. And then just basically kind of the same thing as what we did with the iceberg. Just going to give it a real rough chop, being very, very careful not to cut ourselves. Even though we don't have fingers, we still don't want to get cut. Or at least I don't anyway. So I'm very, very slow and cautious with sharp knives when I do this. Rough chop, just real, real rough. Okay. Kind of like that there. Throw it in our spinner. Some of these bigger ones here, you can maybe cut some of these just a little bit smaller so that it doesn't take up quite as much room. But I do like to keep the lettuce at a pretty decent size. Okay. There, get rid of that. Okay. Lettuce in the spinner. Rest of the lettuce in the spinner. Okay. Then once you get all of that stuff in there, then this is when this gets fun. Once you get all your stuff in there. Then hopefully you can still see me. And then I go over to the kitchen sink, get some cold water running. I'm gonna fill this up. I know you probably can't see super great what I'm doing, but I'm just filling that whole thing up so that it fills up the whole outside bowl with some water. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna wash it. Basically, is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of move it around with my hands to get all the dirt loose that might still be on, some of the lettuce leaves. And once we get that bowl kind of full, and you can feel that this is getting real loose in here, and you can move it around. You can tell that it's doing something in there. That if there's any dirt on there, boom, it's coming off. You ain't sticking around. There's no two ways about that. And then the cool thing about this is you lift the center thing out, and a bunch of that water is going to drain out that we use there to rinse it. And yeah, you can see the grossness. I don't know, you probably can't see that too good in there, but in that water right there's a whole bunch of dirt and stuff that I would rather put down the drain than put it into my belly when I eat a salad. So we're gonna take that and rinse that out a little bit. Okay. Then this is the fun part. We're gonna try to get as much water out of this as what we can, because we're gonna spin the rest of the water out, just like what your washing machine does when you go into the spin cycle to get the rest of the water out at the end. Now this could be interesting. I've never tried to do this before since the accident, so this could be interesting, but we're gonna give it a shot because tonight we're having chicken parmesan for dinner, and this is the part to go with it. So I was tasked with the salad for dinner tonight. Erin, my gorgeous better half, I should say, is going to take care of the chicken parm part when she gets home tonight. Now, what you can do here, if you can see me, what I did is put the lid on this thing and rotate this thing around here. You're supposed to get it going really, really fast like your washing machine, and it's spinning like crazy inside there, and it's hard to see. It's spinning the water out of my lettuce. Now you can see, since I did that, this bowl was empty. Since I spun it, all that water came out. So, tell you what we'll do. We'll let that sit there for just a couple more minutes and let a little of it drain. Let a little of the water drain out. And we will go ahead and start doing some of our chopping. Now, the reason I picked salad today to do my video on is because I'm going to try to use this vegetable peeler and peel this cucumber. And I'm not sure how that's going to go, but we are going to give it a shot. So the way I always did this before when I did have my fingers was I always cut the ends off. Cut the ends of the cucumber off like that. I should be putting this stuff down my garbage disposal, but because of the video. Okay, now, I'm not sure the easiest way to do this because I don't really have a whole lot of grip. What I'm going to try to do, I don't want to go over there, I can't see. I'm going to try to pull it towards me, which you're not supposed to do, but I'm going to try to pull it towards me because it feels like that might be the most natural and easiest, way for me to do this successfully with little or as much difficulty as needed. So I'm going to try and pull it towards myself and try to get the skin off of this cucumber. Maybe laying it down might help a little easier. Yeah, laying it down actually helps a little easier. So let's just lay it down there. And we'll just go the whole way around. Wow, this is going way better than what I thought it was going to. I really, really thought this was going to be a difficult proposition, but this is going pretty well. So maybe this won't be too bad here. I thought I was going to get frustrated and have to edit this and edit a couple of bleeps out of it, but it looks like we might be doing all right here. Actually, pushing it. Now, I can't push it towards me. It's got to come. I can't push it away from me. It's got to come towards me. I just don't have the strength in my hand because of no fingers to be able to push it away from me. So I have to pull it towards me. Which I don't, for the sake of safety, I don't like to encourage, but when you're making a salad for dinner and you have to peel a cucumber and you don't have any fingers, you do what you gotta do. And as badly as I want salad tonight, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get this thing peeled. Okay, so we are almost done. Look at that. How about that? A dude with no fingers just peeled a friggin' cucumber. That's pretty awesome. All right, now, because I rolled it around on that cutting board with all the dirty lettuce, I'm gonna give it a quick rinse here. And sit it, actually I'm gonna sit it there. And I'm gonna empty off my workspace here because this is getting to be a bit much. So let's get that in there, okay? Now, it's peeled. All right, perfect. All right, you know what, let's go back and check on this, see if we got any more water out of this. I think it's gonna be, we're not gonna get it all out, obviously. It's, you know, it's tough to, yeah, see some more did come, out. Let's try to spin it one more time real quick. I don't want to waste a lot of time with this because I really have a feeling this is gonna be a little too much lettuce in here. Oh, there it goes. Listen to that. Hear that? Now I got her spinning. Now I got it spinning. You hear that noise? That's the salad spinner. That's the thing. There it goes. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, so there. Now we should be pretty water free in our, oh my goodness, yes. There we go. That's the rest of the water in our lettuce. Now, what I do is I assemble the salad in this thing here. So since we just spun all the water out of the lettuce, I certainly don't want to throw the lettuce back in there with a bunch of water in it. So I'm going to dry, not overly carefully, but I'm going to give that a quick once over there. So I'm not throwing a bunch of so I'm not throwing a bunch of lettuce back into a wet container there. So let's put that back in there. Okay, that's perfect. So there's the lettuce. That's the meat and potatoes of our salad. Obviously, figuratively, the meat and potatoes, because it's not meat or potatoes. Okay, so there's our lettuce. Now, everything else can get assembled directly in that bowl. So let's continue on here with our cucumber. Now, what I'm going to do with my cucumber is I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, I'm just going to take the cucumber, cut it in half like that, and then I'm going to cut it in half long ways like that, like that. And I'm going to put the flat side down, and I'm going to cut them again in half like that. Half, and then half, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go boom, 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 and just give them a rough chop, just like everything else. I don't like anything super small in salads and soups that have chunks of vegetables in. I don't like stuff super small, so some things my wife Erin, she likes some things to be cut a little bit smaller. She's not a big fan of like big chunks of celery and stuff, so some things we do cut a little smaller, but this we're going to need this stuff in a little bit bigger chunks. Okay, there's our cucumber. So now we got 2 down. What shall we tackle next? I'll tell you what, let's do the onion, because I have a feeling that's going to be the toughest part of it. This one is kind of peculiar shape, and I hope that I can safely cut these ends off of this thing. Usually they're not shaped quite like this, and I usually don't have too much of an issue with cutting an onion, but this one seems to be okay. There we go. Might need to take a little bit more off of that, but at least I know it can be done now. All right, let's try to get the other end off of it. Okay. All right, there's the ends. Try to peel a little of it. This can be this can be kind of daunting and kind of a pain when you're, when you really struggle with your kitchen abilities. Some of these simple tasks can be really, really frustrating, and that's why I do this, to show you that even though I am frustrated with trying to do it, I still can, even though it's not the easiest thing. I used to be able to whip one of these together in 10 minutes. This takes me a little longer now because, for obvious reasons, it takes me a little longer now. So, I need to get a little bit more off of this end, but I think what I'm going to do is cut it in half this way first, like that. Then I can lay it flat. Now I can see how much I need to take off that end. Yeah, I need to take a little bit more off of there and a little bit more off of there. Okay, I'm going to pop that little core out of there. That's what I was trying to do right there. Get that little core out of there. Okay. All right, there we go. Now the onion is clean. Now we need to chop it. And this is the worst part. When you're cutting vegetables, for me, onions are the worst. First of all, because they kind of make your eyes burn a little bit. So you need to be extra cautious because sometimes you're trying to do it while you're squinting a little bit. It gets to be a little bit overwhelming. But this one doesn't seem to be too bad. It's not burning my eyes too bad. So if you watched any of my other videos, you know how I chop an onion. I cut down through it best way I can and try to cut it into slices. Very easy. As easy as I can, very slowly, very meticulously. There I go. Like that. And then you drop some on the floor that you can't use. So I take the other side, just kind of meticulously and very slowly and very, very carefully, just kind of cut it into strips, and then just chop it. That's why I use a big cutting board, because this stuff goes all over the place when I chop vegetables. I used to use a small little cutting board, but I can't do that anymore because stuff goes, as you can see, stuff goes flying everywhere, and then I got to get down on my hands and knees and pick stuff up off the floor and what have you. And I would rather just use a bigger cutting board and have it go a little bit better. So once I get it into fairly small pieces, then I just use the chop, 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 chop thing there, like that. Some of these pieces, like this here, that's still skin. That should have come off with the, that's still some skin there. That should have come off with the original peeling of it, but it didn't come off the way it should have in the beginning. Now the onion I am going to chop a little smaller than the rest of the vegetables in the salad, so we'll give them just another one. Another quick chop like that. All right. Okay, I think that's good. I think we'll be all right there. Carefully get the blade of the knife and get it all back up on the cutting board here. And we are going to push it into our salad. Now a lot of this it looks like I'm just putting it all in a big pile here. After we're done, we put the lid on it and give it a big shake. Put the lid on it and shake it around, and everything will kind of all shift down through it, and it will be absolutely delightful when it's time to eat it. This pepper I can see is a little bit dirty too on the outside from the farmer's market, so we're just going to give that a quick rinse too before we get started. With that, nothing special, just rub a little of the dirt, a little of the mud off of it from the fields, the farmer. Now this here, I'm going to use my paring knife to do this. I peel these a little different than a lot of other people do. I just kind of cut around the top, cut the core out of it. Being very careful not to pierce through it and go right into the palm of my hand, which is my biggest fear. There, the core out like that. Okay, then I'm going to use my big knife and I'm going to split it in two, right there. And just kind of pull some of this fleshy stuff out and shake the seeds out of it. Whoops, oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll wash that one again because it dropped on some of those lettuce leaves there. Yeah, you just take some of this fleshy stuff out of here and kind of shake the seeds out of it a little bit. And then since I dropped that half, we'll go back over here. We'll give it another quick rinse. And get all the rest of the seeds out of it as well. We don't want any of the seeds in there. Not in a green pepper anyway. You know, if you're making something that's going to be really spicy, yeah, then you might want to leave a little of the seeds in to give it a little more heat. But in a salad, I don't want any of that heat in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut it into strips and then chop it. So I'm just going to take my paring knife and I'm going to cut it into strips. Right like that. Okay. Cut it into strips. All right. And the last piece, I go halfway one way and then turn around the other way and go halfway the other way. Okay, now I have a whole bunch of strips of green pepper. So what do then? Take your big knife and you do that chop thing again. It's the easiest way. It's my go-to. It's not the easiest way for somebody that has fingers when they're cutting up a green pepper. This is not the way I would normally do it. But when you're stuck in the position I am, it's the only way I can do it. Other than taking that paring knife and slicing each one of those strips individually into chunks of green pepper like that, which quite frankly, I don't have the time nor the patience to do. So I do a lot of my chopping very, it might not seem like it's the most, it's the most practical way, or maybe even the safest way. It's definitely not the safest way, but it is the only way when you're in this situation. So there, we just took, while I was explaining to you and complaining to you about how much of a pain in the butt this is, I just did it. So it really ain't that hard, all right? Let's get this in there. We'll get the tomato done and then we can wrap this up. Not that I don't love hanging out with you, but you're probably getting kind of bored with me by now. So, all right, there's the green pepper, okay? Kind of give that a little shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Get that to kind of settle in a little bit there. I have one heck of a mess going here, but that's all right. We'll clean that up when the camera stops, all right? Quick rinse, boom. All right, now, had today at the farmer's market, I bought some tomatoes, and doesn't that look like an absolutely gorgeous tomato to you? Well, to the naked eye, when I was looking at it in the basket, it looked absolutely gorgeous. When I got it home and put it on my counter, I realized that that's what I had bought. They got me a couple times with some tomatoes here. So I don't really complain too much because the stuff was probably grown in the same county a half a mile down the road, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So the brown spots, the black spot, I don't care. We're going to cut it up and put it in there anyway. Those black spots, we're just going to throw them out, all right? We're not going to bitch about it. We're just going to do it, okay? So tomatoes, basically the same way I used to do. Kind of the same thing as the green pepper. I just kind of cut through on an angle and kind of cut the core of it out, being very careful not to pierce through into my palm. Okay, there, just like that. One, and the reason I'm putting 2 tomatoes in and 1 of everything else is because I love tomatoes. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I love tomatoes. So That's why I put 2 tomatoes in and only 1 of everything else. So, okay, there, now we got the guts of this one here taken out. Seems like that didn't go too awful badly. The guts of that one, oh yeah, this one's kind of not in too good a shape. So let's take our big knife here, and I think we're just going to cut this one. We're just going to cut this one right in half, and that half right there that's got the bad spot in, boom, we're just going to throw that out. Okay? This one here's got a little bit of a bad spot in, but I don't think it's going to be quite as much on this one. So we'll just take that bad spot off. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my paring knife here. I'm not sure which knife would be easiest to do. The tomatoes, you can't just chop like what you do with the other stuff that I did. You got to be a little more delicate with tomatoes. So I'm going to try to do this all with the paring knife and see how that goes. Hopefully these knives are sharp enough. I did just sharpen them not too long ago, so hopefully they're sharp enough that I can, that I can do this without causing too much of a mess with mashing through the tomato, which is what I don't want to do, is mash it all to pieces. Okay, so we'll take that there. And the knife is a little on the dull side, so we'll just be patient with it, because heaven knows we do not want to cut ourselves. Yeah, that would be bad. Cutting ourselves while we're trying to make an instructional video on how to do stuff safely as an amputee, and you cut yourself. That's bad for business, and we don't want that to happen. So let's just err on the side of caution, and we'll go very easy through the tomato. Okay? Crap. All right, let's just do one at a time. Just like what I said I didn't want to do with the green pepper, that's exactly how I'm going to do the tomato. I'm going to take each one of these pieces, and I'm just going to cut it into, I'm not going to mess around with trying to do several of them at a time. It's just going to make a mess, and I might wind up hurting myself. And I certainly don't want to wind up having that happen right at the very end, because we're doing pretty good here. This is going to be a delicious salad, and I don't want to hurt myself right at the very end. Okay, so there we have got 2 of the most delicious Pennsylvania grown tomatoes that you will probably ever see. They are so red and so juicy. Okay, so we're going to take them, we're going to put them right on the top of that there, like that. Okay, that should be about the end of it. So if you can see, I believe you probably can, that is what we just made. Lettuce on the bottom, then with a little bit of our cucumber and the green pepper, and cucumber, green pepper, a little bit of the red onion, and the tomato, on the very top. You know what? The lid for this thing is right behind where my camera is sitting to film this, and I can't get at it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to say, there you go. In the last, however long this video is, about, I can't see it, I don't know, 20 minutes or so that we've been together, we just made a delicious garden salad that we're going to have as a side with our chicken parm dinner tonight, and possibly through the rest of the week. So there you have it. It's Mike the amputee again. No fingers. Beautiful salad. We just made it. You watched me do it. It's not impossible. It's not always easy, but it can be done. So if you're like me and you like salad and you don't have any fingers, go out to the farm market up the street, get some stuff and put one together, all right? Until next time, it's been great hanging out with you. I love you all. I hope people are getting some use out of these. All right, until we meet again, I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.